Take a deep breath, Golden State fan, because today's conversation is not about nostalgia or the glorious past. It is about a very concrete, very physical, and very uncomfortable problem: the paint. While a lot of people are still debating spectacular plays and three-pointers, the coaching staff has realized for some time now that there is a lack of dominant presence near the basket. There is no giant who intimidates, who protects the rim, who fights for rebounds, as if every one of them were the last possession of his life. And at the same time, the team has in its hands an extremely valuable trade asset, Jonathan Kuminga. Inside the organization, nobody is naive. Everyone knows that as soon as Kuminga is eligible to be included in deals, the phone will start ringing. It is no exaggeration to say that he is the most explosive asset the franchise has outside the trio of veterans. A young, athletic wing with a sky-high ceiling who still has not shown everything he can become. For some rebuilding franchises, he is not just a player, he is a star project, and that is exactly why his name has become the center of debates about a possible major change of direction in San Francisco. Behind the scenes around the league, theoretical proposals have already appeared that would make any fan look twice. One of them involves one of the most productive big men in today's NBA, Domantas Sabonis, the brain of the paint in Sacramento, a point guard in a center's body capable of orchestrating the offense, delivering pinpoint passes, and still battling hard in the pick and roll. The idea put on the table is simple to understand, but hard to digest. Sacrifice part of the future to supercharge the present. In this construction, the Warriors would send Kuminga, Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, and Trace Jackson-Davis to Sacramento, plus a future first-round pick protected at the top. In return, they would receive Sabonis, the left-hander who sees the floor like few other bigs in the league. On paper, it looks like an almost natural fit. A center who thinks the game, used to having the ball a lot, stepping into a system that has historically valued movement, reads, off-ball cuts, and quick passing. From an offensive point of view, the fantasy is tempting. Imagine an attack in which Stephen Curry never stops moving. Jimmy Butler attacks the defense with physicality and intelligence. Draymond Green continues to operate as the connector, and Sabonis functions as the organizing big, catching the ball at the top of the key, feeding cutters, handing off, reading the defense in real time. It is the kind of lineup that, on inspired nights, could leave any defense completely lost, always one step behind the ball. But basketball, especially in the playoffs, is not played only on offense, and that is where the debate gets thorny. With Sabonis on the floor alongside Butler and Green, the interior space tends to get crowded. None of the three is an elite shooter from the perimeter. All of them like to receive the ball, make decisions, operate from mid-range or by attacking the paint. In postseason games, when defenses study every tiny detail, it is not hard to imagine opponents packing the paint, sagging off, and daring Golden State to hit contested shots from outside. Defensively, the doubts become even clearer. Sabonis is strong, competitive, and intelligent, but he is not the classic rim protector who puts out fires in one-on-one situations and shows up with a help-side block at the last moment. Nor is he the center most comfortable in switch-heavy schemes, where the big man has to survive guarding guards on the perimeter for a few possessions. And that has always been a hallmark of Golden State's defense at its best: versatility, constant switching, passing lanes suffocated, quick help, and even quicker recovery. Even so, there is an argument that is hard to ignore. Sabonis is, individually, more talented than any center the Warriors currently have. And when you are living the end of an era led by a legend like Curry, perhaps the question is not, is he perfect, but rather, does he raise the team's ceiling right now? The answer, for many people inside and outside the league, is yes, he does. And in a scenario where the clock is ticking, sometimes you accept imperfections in exchange for pure talent. This is the sentence echoing inside the franchise. Golden State is completely tied to Curry, Butler, and Green. That is the trio that defines the team's present. There is no longer room to imagine a distant future without taking into account the weight of age, physical wear, and the opportunities that are closing. Every extra season without truly contending for the title is a waste of one of the most impactful point guards in the history of the game. The dilemma is brutal. preserve young assets and picks, or squeeze every last drop out of the window that still remains. That is why Kuminga has become the symbol of this crossroads. Keeping him means betting that he can still develop right there, within the system, finding space and confidence alongside the veterans. Including him in a trade of this magnitude is to admit that the focus is entirely on the now, the short term, the all or nothing. And it is not just him. Adding Moses Moody, a solid young player, and Trace Jackson-Davis, who is still trying to prove he can be a reliable center, means dismantling part of the young core in exchange for a radical shakeup of the roster structure. But this idea is not the only one on the table. In fact, it is just one of the narratives that emerged once it became clear to everyone that Golden State's paint does not match the weight of the rest of the roster. If you look coldly at the standings, a team with more wins than losses, but without convincing, already tells a story. The problem is not the talent of the veterans. The problem is the lack of a reliable pillar inside, at the heart of the defense, and in the rebounding battles. Quinton Post, a tall player with more wingspan than court time, is still seen as a project. He has size, he has flashes, but he has not established himself as the kind of center you send out there against the Western Conference stars and trust that he will not be swallowed in a 7-game series. Trace Jackson-Davis, even though he brings energy, mobility, and effort, has also not been able to fill the gap left by a center who, for a long time, held things together in the interior rotation. To make things worse, the attempt to solve the problem with an experienced veteran in the paint has not gone exactly as expected. Al Horford arrived with the reputation of an intelligent player, with good floor spacing, used to playing on title-contending teams. The idea was clear. Put on the floor a 5-man unit capable of stretching the opposing defense, with 5 players who can shoot from outside, move the ball, and leave the paint open for cuts and drives. On paper, it looked like a modern, refined solution. In practice, what we have seen so far is a veteran fighting against time. His shooting numbers, especially from mid and long range, are well below ideal. In limited minutes per game coming off the bench, Horford has not been able to deliver the offensive impact that would justify his presence in lighter lineups. And if the shot is not falling, the whole tactical design collapses. Instead of spacing the floor, he simply stops being respected on the three-point line, which makes life even easier for the opposing defense. It is harsh to demand too much from a player who has already been through almost 2 decades of NBA basketball. Not everyone is built to challenge the clock non-stop. And then the uncomfortable question arises. Does it make sense to bet that he will still rediscover his best rhythm in a team that cannot afford mistakes, with a veteran roster and an ever-shrinking window? Or is it time to admit that the plan did not work and move on to a deeper change? It was in this atmosphere that another proposal started gaining strength in back-channel conversations, a scenario with 3 teams helping each other in a complex trade that, in the end, could give Golden State something that perhaps makes even more sense than a playmaking big like Sabonis. Instead of a great brain in the paint, the idea would be to bring in a true rim guardian, someone who lives to protect the basket, contest layups, block shots, and impose physical respect inside. The script for this possible move is as follows. The power forward Kuminga would go to the Chicago Bulls in search of a fresh start in an environment where he would have more prominence. From there, Kobe White, an explosive guard who likes to have the ball in his hands, would head to the Dallas Mavericks, a franchise that has long been looking for a partner able to share playmaking duties and ease the pressure on its main creator. And, completing the triangle, Daniel Gafford, Dallas's center, would land in San Francisco to put on a Warriors jersey. Deep down, it is as if each team were trying to align its identity with its roster. Chicago would give up a guard who risks becoming expensive and redundant alongside another recently paid creator in exchange for a young forward with the physical and defensive potential to reshape the franchise's future. Dallas would sacrifice an efficient center to solve a chronic hole on the perimeter, adding more scoring at guard. And Golden State, in turn, would do what the fans have been asking for a long time. Bring in a real center, a guy whose primary job is to be a defensive anchor. The discussion that arises from there is brutally direct. Does it make sense to turn a raw talent like Kuminga into a center like Gafford? The emotional answer is complicated, because many people have grown attached to the youngster's potential. But the rational answer has to consider the context. Curry is up there in age, Butler already has many miles of physical wear, Green no longer has the same motor as before, even if he remains impactful. How much longer can this core stay at the highest level? One more lukewarm season could mean the end of the competitive line for this trio. Gafford is not the kind of player who will grab everyone's attention in the daily highlights, but if you look calmly at what he brings, you see exactly why this idea excites so many people. In limited minutes per game, he maintains efficient scoring averages, converts shots at a high rate because he finishes near the basket, makes good use of lobs, cuts to the rim with perfect timing, and, most importantly, is a constant presence in blocks, rebounds, and defensive help. While many modern centers want to prove they can handle the ball, shoot threes, and do a bit of everything, Gafford seems comfortable being exactly what the Warriors need most: a specialist in protecting the rim, finishing alley-oops, and punishing defenses that sag off too much. He does not need the ball in his hands all the time, does not demand plays to be drawn up just for him, does not clog up the offensive creation. He exists to complement, to give structure to the machine, to allow the perimeter stars to do what they do best with minimal worry at the back. This is where the dilemma starts to take on a different shape. If Sabonis would bring an absurd dose of talent and playmaking to the paint, but also a series of complex adjustments on offense and defense, Gafford offers something simpler, more straightforward and more pragmatic. He is the functional fit that fixes a clear weakness without demanding that the entire playing style be redesigned. Instead of adding another star to handle the ball, you add a pillar who underpins the defense and complements the offensive game. And all of this is happening while Kuminga, this highly valuable piece, seems increasingly stuck in limbo. Injuries, inconsistency, difficulty in finding a stable role in the rotation, sky-high expectations, low minutes. It is not that he lacks talent. The problem is, how much longer can Golden State wait to see if that talent will explode while he is still in their building? And if, when it finally happens, it is already too late to enjoy it alongside Curry, Butler, and Green. At this point in the story, the tension peaks. On one side, the shine of a young forward's potential who could, in another context, become a leading man. On the other, the urgent need to plug a hole in the paint with someone who already knows exactly what he is and what he does. It is not just a matter of liking one player more than another. It is about understanding what stage of life the franchise is in and what it is willing to sacrifice to dream big again. If Golden State decide to go down this path, the face of the team changes. The way they defend changes. The way they attack the opponent's paint changes. The rotations change. The veterans' responsibilities change. And above all, the message sent to the whole world becomes crystal clear. There is no slow rebuild plan while Curry is still on the court. There is urgency. There is haste. There is a willingness to take big risks to try once again to climb back to the top. Sotto, at 22 years old, is an athlete with an impressive track record, something that grabs everyone's attention. His size is remarkable, but what truly makes a difference is the combination of this attribute with his skill and agility. With a clear mastery of the paint game and an offensive ability that stands out, he is the type of player who can make a significant impact on any team. When we consider his qualities, it becomes evident that we're talking about a center who is not only a rim protector, but also creative on offense, making him a real promise for the future. However, his stature and talent are only part of the challenge. The transition to the NBA is a tough process that requires much more than one might expect. The intensity of the league, the speed of the plays, and the physical demand are levels higher than those found in any other basketball league in the world. And this presents a huge challenge for any young player. If Sotto were to be signed by the Golden State Warriors, the implications go beyond the court. The Bay Area, where cultural diversity is a trademark, has a significant Filipino community. Kai's presence, as a Filipino, would not just be another addition to the team, but a symbol of pride and representation for millions of fans around the world. His impact could be felt not only on the court, but also in the hearts of the fans. Imagine the energy at the Chase Center upon seeing this player, who represents a segment of the global population with so much passion. The Filipino fan base, with its contagious enthusiasm, could transform the atmosphere, creating a unique vibe at every game. Furthermore, by attracting more international attention, the Warriors could expand their brand to unimaginable levels, reaching new markets, especially in Southeast Asia, where basketball has been growing significantly. The entry of a young athlete into the NBA is always a moment filled with challenges, and with Kai Sotto, it wouldn't be any different. The league demands more than just natural skill. Consistency and defensive agility are equally essential. Although the athlete has shown potential at various times, his experience in the Japanese league demonstrated that there are still adjustments to be made. Moments of brilliance are clear, especially on offense, but the NBA's level is unforgiving, and every weakness is quickly exploited. Kai will need to improve his adjustment to the fast-paced rhythm of the league and refine aspects of his game that may be vulnerable. As much as the NBA is a trial by fire for any player, the good news for Kai is that the Warriors, a franchise known for developing talent, could be the perfect environment for him. Under the guidance of great sports legends like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, along with a highly qualified coaching staff, Kai could evolve in impressive ways, learning and absorbing as much as possible from those who are references in global basketball. However, the pressure to be ready to contribute will be immense. Every spot on the Warriors roster is valuable, and the team aims to win more titles now while preparing for the future with promising young players. Therefore, Kai will need to quickly show that he's ready to be an important piece in the team's pursuit of their next championship. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep up with more content like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll stay updated on everything happening in the basketball world. Oh, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever a new video is posted here. Leave your comment too, we want to know your opinion. See you in the next video.